Okay, class, welcome to video 2. In this video, we are going to be installing Apache in our web server. So let's log in. So we're gonna do webmaster and then our super secure password. And now that we're here, the first thing we need to do is install Apache. So we'll do sudo apt install Apache 2. There you go. Okay, now that Apache has been successfully installed, we are going to configure the firewall so that we can allow traffic coming in from outside of our computer to reach our computer so that the website can be reached, the website that we will ultimately be hosting in our computer. So what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna do sudo ufw allow, and then here in quotations we're gonna pass the name Apache. Press enter, and now let's take a look at the status of our firewall. So we do sudo ufw allow Apache. Oops, there you go. Sorry, it's a status sudo ufw status Apache. So now here is a problem. Now this should return the status of our firewall, but because the firewall is disabled, we can't see it. So let's enable it. So let's do sudo ufw enable. This is going to enable our firewall, and now if we repeat the command, there you go, that's what we're looking for. We should see Apache v6 allow anywhere. Great. By the way, all of the commands that I'm using over here, I'm going to put it in the description of the video so that you don't, so that you can just pause and copy and paste if you like. Now, let's move on. Now that we have checked that Apache is allowed in the firewall and that Apache is installed successfully, we are going to see if Apache is running. So we'll do sudo system control systemctl, and then we do a systemctl status Apache 2, and we are gonna disable paging, no pager, so that it just returns our prompt without us having to press enter or anything. If you see active and running, congratulations, Apache is successfully running in your computer. Now the next thing is testing Apache. So if we try to get the IP address of our computer, host name -i, which is the command that's going to give us the IP address, you are going to notice that we have an IP address that starts with 10.0.2. Now, if we look at the IP address of our regular computer, so now this is my terminal in my host computer, we are going to notice that host name -i, my IP address is 192.168. So these don't match. Right, so if you have taken already your networking class, you will understand that in order for two computers to talk to each other, they need to be on the same network, essentially, because there are workarounds to that. So how do we fix this? So we need to make our virtual machine part of our internal network in our home. So the IP address of my virtual machine needs to be obtained from my router, not from my computer, because right now this virtual machine cannot talk to my regular computer. So we're gonna change the networking interface of the virtual machine. How do we do that? Well, let's turn off the virtual machine first. So we're gonna do shut down now. And with the virtual machine off, we're gonna go to settings, then we're gonna go to network. We're gonna switch this from NAT to bridge adapter. One thing to note is that if you're doing this from the college computers or from the college network, this is not going to work, because the college network by default blocks every bridge adapter that you try to connect. Like, it doesn't understand it well. They have a lot of rules in the college network's firewall, and you will not get an IP address. So this you have to do it from home, unfortunately. So keep that in mind. So we're going to click on OK over here. And now we're going to turn our virtual machine on one more time. We can close this. We can close this. And now let's log in one more time, webmaster, and then our super secure password. Now notice that the IP address of my computer changed. See what it says, IPv4 address for EMP0S3? Now it looks very similar to the IP address of my computer, right? So the very first 3 octets match exactly what my virtual machine matches, which means that my virtual machine now has an IP address that my local computer and pretty much any computer in my network can reach. Now, make sure that's what we're gonna do, host name -i. We're gonna pipe this into cut because we need to get just the IP address. Make sure you write this IP address down. So we're gonna go here to file, settings, and description. So over here I'm gonna write down the IP of my server, 192.168.1.151, right? And we're gonna click on OK. So we need to keep this down. I'm just gonna copy this here, click on OK. Later on in the following video, I'm gonna teach you how to set this IP as static, because right now it's dynamic. Right now it's dynamic, sorry for my bad English over there. I'm from the Plátano land, so every once in a while I'll make mistakes on my English. Anyway, so later on in the next video, when we're setting up SSH, we're gonna set up this IP address as static. Right now it's dynamic, and that means that if this computer is off and this IP address is available, another device that connects into my network potentially can get this IP address assigned to it. And that's not very good for a web server, because that website needs to be always accessible. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna test our web server. So first, let's make sure that our server is running Apache 2. So we're gonna use system control for that. And yeah, it's running. So now if you I'm gonna open a browser window in my regular computer, and you type here the IP address of your server, you should get this page, which tells you that Apache is successfully running and we are good to go. Now that we have done this, we are going to continue with part 2 of the video, where we're going to set up SSH, and then we're going to continue setting up Apache later on for setting up our website. But for now, we are good to go. We have Apache running in our web server. We can continue. See you in the next video. Oops, I forgot. We need to take a snapshot. So let's shut this machine down. And let's take another snapshot. We will not be deleting the previous snapshot that we took. So keep that in mind, because in working with projects like this, it's a good idea to have breakpoints where we can always go back to in case something breaks. So we're gonna take a snapshot. I'm gonna call this snapshot number 2, Apache installed. Click on OK, and we are good to go. Now I'll see you in the next video.